So if you do your follow-up right, you won't have a whole lot of competition. What's happening, Rockstars? Good to see you. Welcome to the Borino Live. So let's start with the good old follow-up. Money is in the follow-up, so let's focus on that. Here's a question from Mr. Tim Bagley. He would like to know best follow-up systems. I don't want to feel like I'm bothering people. Great question. You see, that's true. It's true how they say money is in the follow-up. You've heard that, right? Money is in the follow-up. Lead generation is not worth anything if you cannot build connection and trust, if you can't qualify the people you're dealing with, and or if you can't set appointments. Having those inbound calls to say, hey, Tim, come on down, we want to list our house, doesn't happen, does it? Especially not in a competitive market. See, here's the problem. This is what it looks like out there right now, right? It's crowded, it's competitive. So I'm going to give you some practical tips, practical advice to help you follow up. First, some good news. You're going to like this. I got this from the National Association of Realtors. There's a report they put together every year called the Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers. A lot of good data. You might want to check it out. So take a look at this. Number of agents contacted before selecting one to assist with the sale of the home. That's the good news. Majority of the sellers, 74%, 7 out of 10 sellers contact one agent. 89% of the sellers, 8 out of 9, almost 9 out of 10, contact 2 agents max. So if you do your follow-up right, you won't have a whole lot of competition. There are a lot of other agents, that is true, but it is throughout the follow-up where you're building rapport, building relationship, establishing your authority that will make the difference. That will be positioning you as one of those agents who at the end will not only get the appointment, but get that listing. All right, so let's talk about it, how to do that. Step 1, use good contact management system because you need a central database, a central management system that can manage your communication with your prospects. And there's a whole bunch of them out there. There are 3 I would recommend you look into. LandDesk, very good, robust system. Realty Juggler, very affordable, nothing complicated, but it gets the job done. And Follow-Up Boss is really the higher end if you have the budget for it. Any of those 3 and a bunch of others will get the job done. But as you're doing lead generation, marketing, advertising, prospecting, it is important for you to have a place where these leads get housed so you can keep track and you execute the follow-up. Now, before we go further, every time I talk about follow-up, I want to make one thing clear. Drip campaign is not follow-up. Nobody wants to be dripped on. Automation is important. Sending emails, important. Yes, it's part of the equation, but to rely strictly on just some drip campaign and some templated emails that the seller's seen a million times, the buyers have read a million times, it's not interesting, it's not personable, it's not going to happen. So don't rely on automation alone. All right? So step 1, a good contact management system. This will also allow you to keep notes. Keep notes because the personal conversations where you can ask about stuff that you've talked about prior, you can reference, oh, you're still thinking about getting that lovely home in Tampa. How's your daughter? Is her soccer team back? Are you guys back on track with soccer? Anything that you can reference shows that you're interested, that you listen, you pay attention, and it shows a certain level of importance, significance to the prospect. So that's 1. Number 2, in order for you not to pester your clients, not to be a pest, make sure your follow-up is interesting, fun, and relevant to the seller. There is nothing worse. Well, I have some samples I can show you. These are postcards that I receive here in the house, so I want to show you. This is one that's called a Market Watch. Can you guys see it? Market Watch. I mean, it's a really nice piece. It's very high-end, very beautifully printed. But here's the problem when I open it. This is agent named Susan. I'm sure she's a great agent. She produces very nice marketing. I've seen her name in the neighborhood before. But the moment I open it, it's about whom? The agent. There is a time and place for it. I would send a piece like this before my listing appointment to confirm I'm the authority. I can be trusted. I have experience. I have tools. I know how to get a home sold. But to send this as a marketing piece throughout the neighborhood, as a follow-up piece, not so good. Plus, a lot of data, a lot of information. I wouldn't read it, would you? It's not very interesting. It's not very engaging. Think about it this way. What do you like to receive? Something that's fun. Why do you go on social media? To be entertained. So focus on content that's not just helpful. Don't overdo it. Your job is not to turn your potential sellers and buyers into real estate experts. Give enough information to be helpful, but make sure it's entertaining. Make sure it's interesting, and make sure it speaks to me as a prospect, okay? So there are 4 rules. Talk to me. This is why the times where you can just blast 7,000 emails and hope that everybody will read it and be entertained and educated by it over. Make your communication specific to that client. Number 2, benefit me. Send something that benefits me. That can be tax information, home improvement information, increased home value information, anything that benefits me as a seller. I don't care how many homes you sold and how many words you have and how big your company is. That will come later, not through your follow-up. Number 3, keep communication on my channel. You notice some prospects have preference and respond to text, some prefer email, some like the phone call, some like face-to-face conversation, some respond to direct mail. It just depends. So pay attention to what resonates with whom and keep the conversation going on that channel. And number 4, they don't care what you want. It's not about you. So that means every communication, every phone call, every text, every exchange you have needs to be focused on their goal. It is not about selling a house. That's not their goal. Listing their house is not their goal. Even moving is not their goal. What is their ultimate goal? They want to live somewhere else. They want to feel better. There's a very specific and usually emotionally driven reason why they want to sell, why they want to move. If you focus on that, if you tap into that, if you massage that, not physically obviously, but if you keep focus on that, your follow-up will be relevant, your phone calls will be answered and or returned, your emails will be read and responded to, your texts will be read and responded to. That's what's required. All right? So number 1, use a good CMS. Number 2, keep it interesting, fun, and relevant to the seller using these 4 points. Number 4, you cannot control when the seller will be ready. So to try to motivate somebody will not only unaccomplish that, it's impossible to motivate somebody. It will do the exact opposite. You will come across as needy, desperate, and only interested in your best interest, which is to get the listing. No bueno. The only thing you control is who they pick, not when. Now, the way you control who they pick is with frequency, good communication, interesting, relevant content. Here's the principle, and I teach this to my students. Keep your follow-up consistent, because consistency and repetition starts creating familiarity. They become familiar with your name, with your face, with the sound of your voice. That creates comfort, because they're familiar with you. You're not just stranger to them, and that's the foundation of trust. And you already know, trust is the foundation of your business. They will not do business with you if they don't trust you. Are you with me? Is this helpful so far? Here's the next one. Consistency plus repetition. That means it's going to require between 5 to 15 contacts on average to develop enough trust and connection where they will be ready to make the move. Now again, the timeline will be based on their timeline, based on their preferences, their urgency, their motivation. But be prepared that even a shorter motivated lead will require multiple contacts. It's just part of the game. And here's number 5. What I call the omnipresence. It is the answer to flooded, crowded, competitive, and noisy marketplace, which is pretty much everywhere these days. Omnipresence means you communicate and you appear no matter where the prospect is, whatever they prefer, whether they're on Facebook or LinkedIn, Instagram, or they get their mail, or they check their phone, you're everywhere. So let me give you 7 channels on which you need to communicate as far as your follow-up. Number 1, social media. It's easy. It's free. Everybody's on social these days. Have your presence. If it's only on 2, it would be Instagram and Facebook. If you can add YouTube, that's better. If you're on LinkedIn, that's better. But at least those 2. Number 2, phone calls. Not everybody will answer their phone. True. But the magic of being able to build a connection is through conversation, where you can ask questions, they can ask questions, you exchange information, you give them something helpful. So include phone calls as well. Number 3, text them. Texting is powerful. Most of the text, let me show you. This is from the California Association of Realtors, how people like to be followed up and communicated with. 38% prefer phone, 26% prefer text. So more than half of your prospects you can reach just with your smartphone. 21% email and 15% in person. So texting, email. Now, drip campaign is not follow-up, but include email in your communication. It should be part of your toolbox. Number 5, visit them. Visit the face-to-face communication, especially if you don't have all the channels open, or you don't have their email, or you don't have their phone number. Go see if you can visit them. Number 6, mail. Good old mail still works if it's done right. Now, the one I showed you, I would definitely improve. I would work on it. But if it's done right, if it's impactful, and I'll show you a couple of the pieces that I think are very impactful. When was the last time you either sent or received one of these? See that? Good old-fashioned handwritten thank you card. Look at that. Handwritten, personal. It touched my heart. Notice I kept it. I received it weeks ago, and it's still here. Send these. They work beautifully. They're very powerful. Use any opportunity to say thank you to someone, even if they're just kind on the phone and you enjoy the conversation. So mail works. Send mail. And the final one, 7, what are you watching right now? Video. Send videos. This could be one-on-one communication. Hey, Jim, sorry about your house. Sorry it didn't sell. Would you still consider selling it for the right price? Hit me back. Let me know. Text me. Let's talk. Or it could be video that you post on social where you give a little market update, a little something that's going on in the neighborhood. It doesn't even need to be big, elaborate. You're not a news production company. Grab your smartphone. This is your production right here and record a little video. Send these. They work really well. Those are the 7 follow-up tips, my friends, that will make your follow-up better, more organized, more powerful. It is essential, especially in this market, especially right now, for you to stay on top of it. Is that helpful? What do you say?